I kind of liked it. I liked that there was a human touch to Kong, which, like you said, is kind of a staple.
That's the problem. See, they're making it for guys like you. It's just like, I like the human stuff. I like the human.
No. Hold on a second.
People need to relate to. They can't relate to these monsters. We need more
back
human
it,
stuff.
No, back
humans
it up.
relate to humans. Let's put more in
Wait
there.
a second.
Bring me pictures of Spider-Man.
Welcome, everyone, to the biggest giant monster spectacular episode of Button Smash.
Yeah!
All right.
Tonight, we're talking about giant monsters because Godzilla vs. Kong just hit theaters or an HBO Max near you. We got some news, but mostly we're talking about big monsters, and also, because tonight we're recording on April 1st, we're talking about some of the best April Fool's Day stuff in gaming. Whether it was published by Electronic Gaming Monthly years ago when it was still a magazine, might still be, I don't know, don't read it anymore, or somebody you knew told you about their uncle that worked at Nintendo, and this is totally legit. Tonight, I'm TV's Casey, your ever gregarious host, and with me is the Bad Coyote himself.
Hey, welcome everybody. What's going on? What's going down? Welcome to Button Smash. You already know what it is when you click and you watch here. Welcome to the show. Yeah.
We've also got Dot Chris.
Rodan! You're welcome. That's my best Rodan.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And my brother in beardness, Jay's Mac.
I'm Discount Solid Snake tonight, guys. Hi.
Awesome.
Love it.
A weapon even stronger than Metal Gojira.
Gelatinous snake.
Gelatinous snake. Yep.
Yeah, not quite not liquid, but not quite solid.
Solidus.
All
Semi-solid
right,
snake.
let's fire it up. Let's get right into it. Dot Chris, hit me with some news.
All right. So, because it just can't stay out of the news ever, we got some CyberPunk updates. Like, always. There's always something. I don't understand it. Whenever we're looking around for, what are we going to talk about? For some reason, CyberPunk always shows up. And maybe there'll be an off week, but don't worry. The week after that, we'll have some CyberPunk-ish.
There you go.
Anyways, right now, obviously, we talked about this game released. It was not very optimized. So some of the PlayStation, Xbox actually pulled it from their console stores, and until they get the patches worked out and they kind of get everything up to speed. So as of right now, apparently there's debate over whether they're actually going to end up rolling out the multiplayer updates. And it is maybe something that is either delayed, but a lot of folks are thinking they may just pull it all together. Because there's so many other problems. Let's get the not needing some heavy server action connected first before we start rolling that out to everyone. Not super surprising. Probably a good call in the long run.
Yeah.
But that's fine. And then also, apparently, it is also kind of almost ready for another reevaluation to see if it can get back up on the console stores. Specifically, it seems like the PlayStation version is going to be the first one up. And it's just about ready to resubmit and get back into Sony's hands and see if they're going to throw it back up for folks to play.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, it was funny. NZXT put out a Cyberpunk themed PC build that you could get. And, of course, I had to take Twitter and ask them, does it run Cyberpunk, though? And they were not amused. They're just like, yeah, it does. And a lot of people were, laughing at it and stuff like that. But you had some hardos that were like, oh, it's because it wasn't properly, vetted through, processed, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, shut up.
Yes.
I was like, it's a joke.
Also, correct. They didn't. And they should have. And that's why this joke is funny.
Yeah, exactly. Went over their head.
Hey, man, I mean, I know we've been kind of crapping on this game, but it would be nice to see them turn things around and get it going. No one wants to see this be a failure in the end. Let's be honest.
No, and you know what? It's still a fun game, and it's an interesting story. I think I don't really know anymore. No, it is. It's an interesting story, and it is really fun to play. I upgraded my PC significantly, and I jumped in. And the first thing I tried was like to bump this up to like ray tracing, and I still couldn't. I was just like, all right, like fuck this then. You know what I mean? Like this is just a lost cause at this point. Like I'll come back in 6 or 7 months and see if it's ready to play. I was getting like 30 frames or something like that, so it had its troubles, and it'll be good at one point, but it's the growing pains, I guess, with releasing a huge game.
I've been watching some people play it, and these updates are substantially making it better. And for me, that's almost like I would love to play this game, but I want to play it, fixed. Like my acceptability level for most games, especially big open world ones, is like Bethesda level of this is fucked, which is a lot, but Cyberpunk took it to a whole new level, and I really, really want to sink my teeth into it when it's finally in an acceptable, like, we're proud of this order.
Grizzle Twitch just came in and said that the latest update was 24.7 gigs.
Oh,
Yeah, that's that's a lot.
Damn.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully there'll be some more updates on that pretty soon. It would be cool to get some more, well playable games on, especially on the next gen consoles. Again, looking at you, PS5, my cupboard's looking a little bare there. Give me some reasons to play you. Love it. Also coming up in gaming news as well, No Man's Sky. So not too long ago, there was an update that allowed you to kind of like tame and ride creatures, which is really cool. Sounds great. Hello Games has done a great job of adding more content to No Man's Sky. But this past week, they actually gave a little peek at what's coming next for No Man's Sky. And the next update is going to be called Expeditions. And what it is doing, it's actually based around you exploring the game with your friends. So also other players. So what happens is when you load this in, you actually spawn on a planet with your friends in the same spot. So before it was kind of like haphazard where you could get invited into a game, you spawn on your friend's world, and you just kind of walk around, but you're still kind of doing your own thing for the most part. You're just doing your own thing with your friend there as well. And this is made to have activities and things that require you, that kind of allow you to move along these objectives with a group of people.
That's awesome, because that's the reason why, like, I played this game for a while. I told you guys I got stuck in that like little loop where I was trying to get one of the best like cargo ships or whatever. So I kind of ruined it for me for a little bit. But the reason why I was doing that is because the game's a little lonely feeling. At least I feel that way. Where like if you can't play it in multiplayer, you don't have like a group of people to do the same things or jump in a ship together and go somewhere. So this is cool. I like this idea.
Again, Hello Games, another like rags to riches type of game. Really rocky launch, but it is at this point like far surpassed what they had promised at launch, which is great. I'm actually going to throw one more news story in that I didn't put on the notes. This is for you, Jay. It turns out that Rust is going to be coming to consoles on May 21st.
Yeah, they have an actual release date now, which is really exciting to get more exposure to people that maybe only have a console to play this game. Maybe I should tell my nephew to start playing it, and then he'll turn into an absolute monster of a human. Can't wait. He's a sweet kid right now. I can't wait for him to be an asshole one day. And we'll have Rust to thank for that.
For his birthday, you give him Rust and also a large rock.
Oh, his birthday's coming up. I know, right? And then I should just beat him with it, and then just be like, noob.
Brother against brother, uncle against nephew.
But yeah, they're getting the HDRP, which is like the high dynamic range pipeline, added in to the PC version. So they did an update probably like 6 or 7 months ago that made the game look spectacular from what it was. The game already looked good, right? Like you're talking like Red Dead 2 type graphics almost, for the world that you're in. Then they updated it and they gave you like actual sunsets. They gave you like real like god rays and stuff like that. The game looked really good. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I just saw an update from this guy named Shadowfrax, the YouTuber who does like all the updates, like the upcoming stuff for Rust. this is gonna look so much better. Like all like the ground, if it's raining, like actually will have what, like, you know, reflections on it. Like they're actually gonna use ray tracing in this game now, and it's gonna look wild. It's not gonna come for like another month or two. They just did Force Wipe today, so we're talking probably next month they'll have it out.
Nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
can't wait.
Thanks for being our local Rust correspondent, by the way.
The latest in Rust news.
It's true.
Always. And Jay, I'm going to throw it to you for the next story. What's going on with this police bust in China?
Oh my God, the world's largest cheating ring. And I'm not talking about that Ashley Madison stuff that happened or whatever it was, you know, from 5 years ago. I'm talking about the police bust in an operation called Operation Chicken Wing or something like that, which I thought was really funny.
With a name like that, you know it's
Chicken
serious.
drumstick, yeah.
Yeah.
And so they busted this, you know, this huge ring of cheaters that were selling cheats to people for COD, for Overwatch, you know, everything like PUBG, Fortnite, Rust even. They got them with like a $76 million in illegal revenue or something like that. Like they caught them with that. They caught them with a bunch of Lamborghinis, like super expensive cars. I didn't know that this was a thing that could happen. I thought it was just like some kid who like made it, and you know what I mean, like posted it out there. Yeah, I'll sell it to you for a couple $100. No, these are like crime bosses that are selling cheats to video games, and it's kind of cool. Like I hate when people cheat in games. It's super frustrating. It takes away from the game. But the idea that video games now have like crime involved in the back end of things like this. It's kind of like that future sci-fi bullshit, you know what I mean? That you're like, wow, like this can actually be a thing where people, you know, dump their livelihood and like they leave like a normal life and they go to a life of crime for now. It's kind of funny to me.
When
It's
are
digital
we
crime becoming real crime.
when are we gonna
Yeah.
get like the digital leg breakers? Like somebody comes to your house and it's like, so your
Digital muscle.
credit card declined, and you know that real cash money for Bells and Animal Crossing ain't gonna pay for itself.
Yeah,
We're
have to
taking it out of
kneecap
your hide.
Yeah,
So-
like what do they do? Do they come by and just cut your Ethernet cord or like what? Like
So what you're saying is Comcast is going to start doing shakedowns?
Yeah.
they've been doing that
They've
forever.
actually been
dude.
doing that, yeah.
But yeah, it's absolutely wild. I'm glad to see, you know, I think Tencent Games were the ones who were like big into that because it's it's the biggest video game company over in China.
Which is kind of funny. Yeah, it was actually a kind of joint effort between the Chinese police and Tencent. Like they helped on this crackdown, which is pretty cool considering, you know, Tencent, some of the games, you know, they're just taking all of your data. That's the thing. But
Yeah.
this feels like, all right, they're tipping the morality tables a little bit in the other direction. That's fun. People have fun playing their games. It's great. And these guys that got busted as well, it was actually a subscription service that they were offering as well, between $10 a day and up to $200 a month, which is
Wow.
crazy. So yeah, that's a freaking hustle, like immoral,
Big time.
but
Just
some
to
freaking hustle.
cheat at video games?
Yeah.
Dude, there's so many people that cheat in Rust. It's like, it's disgusting. Like you'll be playing and you see some kid just running along and you're like, oh, like they're running above you with like fly hacks and stuff. And you're like, okay.
But how would here's my question. How would that cater to a subscription model? Like once
don't know.
I feel like once you have the
Mods?
cheat, you have the cheat, right?
Yeah, but have access to those mods. So like, if you think of like in audio production, a lot of most producers have access to something called iLock, and what it is it's a way to capture the licenses of your of the software that you're using, the different audio plugins, and some of these as well are they are subscription based. So your license will eventually run out if you don't re-up, and then you can no longer have access to that plugin. And my guess is this probably works the same way. You install a mod on your computer, but it only works as long as your license, or in this case, probably your subscription, is active.
Got it.
So definitely possible. Kind of crazy, but I mean, it's, as people that like games, we hate cheaters. So like, just play the game the way it's supposed to be played,
Yeah.
or like, you know, use tools inside the game to do so. Don't, especially in these multiplayer games. That's just
Yeah, if you want to cheat in a one-player game, don't let us stop you.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only person you have to blame and live with yourself is you. But don't ruin a game for somebody else.
Yeah,
Come
that's
on.
unfortunately where the sweet spot is now, though, right? Like nobody cares about those RPGs that you can give yourself infinite health or whatever.
Yeah.
It's all about getting the advantage and, you know, dunking on some noobs, if you would, even though you're not actually playing the game.
Listen, I want to play The Sims, and I want to have unlimited money. I don't want to have to wait until I go to my job and get more. Rosebud, that ish, man.
semicolon, semicolon.
You know
right?
it.
Is that
You
what
know
it
it.
is?
Nailed it.
That ruins the game. It ruins the game for you. I did that when I was a kid, and I was just like, okay, this sucks. Like, this would be the equivalent of me winning $1 billion. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't know what to do with myself anymore. I'd be like, all right, I'll just unsubscribe to life. I'm kidding. That's terrible. But yeah, no, like you're just bored at that point, I think.
It's true.
At the end of the day, you cheated the game, but you also cheated yourself. You didn't grow. You didn't improve. You took a shortcut and gained nothing. You experienced a hollow victory. Nothing risked. Nothing gained. And it's sad that you don't know the difference.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was great.
The end.
The end.
Moving on. Fellas, do you enjoy two large things punching each other up with the destruction of a city in its wake?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Most of the time.
Every once in a while, I'm all for it.
little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right. Because for me, the answer is all the time. I will never turn down an opportunity to watch giant monsters, giant robots, giant anything punching each other to smithereens for my entertainment. I will even take some very, very poorly made movies to that exact effect because I love the genre so much. Now, some of us, not all of us, Chris, have watched Godzilla vs. Kong.
It's true.
And I thought it was the bomb.com, but also I went in with zero expectations other than I'm certain this movie will at least be as good as Godzilla King of the Monsters, which came out like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, first of all, what did you think? Are you looking forward to more? And I will transition this into a wonderful little walk down memory lane.
Well, first, I want to hear your thoughts since you really liked it.
Well, I can tell you one thing. It was not as good as King of the Monsters. But this movie knows exactly what it is, and it is not afraid to be absolutely bugfuck insane. So the main crux of the story is we thought Godzilla was a friend to humanity now. That he's the king of the monster. He's the apex predator. He's the top of the food chain. He's the big dog. As of the last movie. But now he's blowing up cities. And he's mostly targeting cities where this place called Apex Technologies is working. And nobody really knows why. But eventually, humanity gets to the point where they're like, maybe we shouldn't take his shit anymore. And also, our corporate overlords and this very Elon Musk looking fella is breathing down our necks to sort of take care of this problem, or maybe he'll take care of it himself. It's really unclear. Either way, I'm not really watching this for the humans. What I am watching this for is we get to see Kong again for the first time since Skull Island, and he is a big boy now. He's very big. In fact,
Is he bigger than Skull Island?
I mean, he's not bigger than the island, but he's bigger.
No, but he's bigger than he was in Skull Island.
He was definitely
He grew
bigger.
up a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently he's like a baby in that movie. Like, people were like, oh, he's
Yeah.
an adolescent. He's a toddler. It's like, no, he's a baby. He's a little baboo. This movie even opens up with, like, really showing how smart he is because you think, oh, like, we have this walking radioactive lizard, like, nuclear disaster versus a monkey.
Yeah.
And how will Big Monkey beat Giant Nuclear Lizard? And the answer is he's super smart. He knows sign language. He's somehow discovered by throwing a big honkin' tree that Monarch built like this like fake bubble around
Which
his
is
entire
beautiful.
island. Yeah.
Inside, I was like, oh, I would live there.
I'd want to live in the bubble. This
He
cool little
wakes
bubble.
up in like in a waterfall. You know what I mean? He's just
Yeah.
like scratching his ass and stuff like that. Walking around.
Kong's like any one of us. He gets up, takes a shower, goes about his day, has breakfast,
Now you get the
discovers
operation.
he's living in a simulation. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the classics.
Yep.
But they find that Kong is living on an island that can really no longer sustain him because he's a very large boy. So things plot along, and they eventually find that the Earth is hollow. Congratulations to all you conspiracy theorists out there. This
not
movie
flat.
finally confirmed it. Yeah. It's empty. Once you get past the crust and get towards the mantle, there's a whole world in there, like Skartaris from DC Comics and, you know, Aquaman. They did it in Aquaman too. Remember when they did it in Aquaman and Michelle Pfeiffer's there and she's living in the... All right, anyway. So there's a whole, like, other Earth with weird gravity and monsters and all kinds of resources. And apparently, you know, we're like, hey, Kong, maybe your family was here. And it turns out they were absolutely right, which is a super contrived coincidence. But whatever. We've just taken this giant monkey who used to live on an island to the center of the Earth where, you know, there's like a habitable other planet inside. Go figure. Anyway, he finds evidence that his people, the Kongs, and Godzilla's people had been at war generations ago, and Kong's people were cool enough to not only rip a dorsal fin out of one of Godzilla's people, but make it into a battle axe that can absorb radiation.
Oh, I didn't catch that part.
Oh, yeah.
That's badass.
I was just watching it up until we had to jump in the Zoom call. By the way,
Or you didn't
And-
finish it?
I didn't finish it yet.
Then let me
That's
spare,
okay.
Let
It's
me,
okay.
He knows
It's
the
okay.
name
Let
of
me
the movie.
let me
He got to
spare
that part.
let me spare you from some spoilers at the end. Then
No,
Um,
you can spoil it. It's fine. But I stopped.
Well, let's
right
not
when
spoil
he
the whole
ripped-
thing for the people.
yeah, let's not do it
Okay,
for the
fine.
people or Chris, who definitely also has not seen this movie.
Oh, yeah, I definitely haven't, but I also-
let's not spoil a movie called Godzilla versus King Kong. Like
Yeah.
you don't know what's going to happen.
Listen,
in
this
the-
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why I don't.
This
That's why I
isn't
don't care.
This
WandaVision,
is-
where it's like this some kind of big mystery spoiler.
This is
Yeah,
this
big
is
monkey dose smashy
Yeah.
and spicy lizard.
That's it.
But,
Spicy lizard. We love it.
I stopped right where he ripped off the head of one of those like gigantic, like pterodactyl,
Those
like I don't know, wingsuit things.
skull
And
crawler
he just
guys.
drank its blood. And I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, oh my god! I go, all right, I got to get into the call right now. So
Well, he
here
was
we are.
thirsty.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He was in salt water for a long time. So
It takes a lot, but look, you get 2 Kong versus Godzilla fights. You get a definitive answer of who wins and who is the king of the monsters. And also, you get my favorite monster showing up at the end, and I'm not going to tell you who it is, but there's lots of
Mothra?
surprises in this movie. No, it's not Mothra. It ain't Mothra.
it's King Ghidorah.
There wasn't a single thing that this movie didn't deliver on that was promised, and they even give you a little nice surprise at the end. So I was very satisfied. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. I'd sooner rewatch it more than I would the Snyder Cut. I'll give you that.
Let's go
Nice.
there.
Listen,
Just
Go
jab that
there.
right in, huh?
listen.
Twist that
Oh,
knife.
man.
Just twist it.
Oh God.
Oh man, all those Snyder like that TV's Casey bomb review bomb Casey.
Listen, honestly, how rewatchable is a 4-hour movie? Stop it.
Not.
I
At
mean,
all.
to a Snyder crazy, they're probably going to be like, I'm going to watch it all the time until the end of time,
You know-
until WB comes back and they make it love a movie.
You know what's funny is I can say, oh, it's like completely unwatchable, 4-hour movie. That's ridiculous. I can watch the same anime 500 times, right? And like I'd be perfectly fine with that. So
But it's not.
I would say-
See, you can stop any time. See, this film, you'd leave it unfinished. You can cap it off at an episode at least.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Serge, what'd you think? What'd you think of the movie?
Oh man, so this movie was called Godzilla versus Kong. I thought there was a heavy, like, I'm a Godzilla guy, right? I thought there was a heavy bias towards Kong. Like he was actually a character in this movie.
This
Like,
is Kong,
you
this
got
is
to
Kong's
see, like,
movie, baby.
It really is, and I'm wondering if they're doing that because they want to make more, like, as the next movie, another Kong movie, because you know they're going to make more. Like this was a whole series of movies, right? We had the Godzilla in 2014, we had Skull Island, they have King of the Monsters, you have this one, and they're definitely going to make more. It's supposed to be like a long running series. I mean, they know they can milk these kaiju stories, and they'll make money around the world. I mean, before this even released in the West, in the US, it was doing gangbusters in China. In China,
Oh, yeah.
it was doing a lot in China. So they didn't even need us to. They didn't even need us to watch it. To be honest, they're just like, oh yeah, you guys can have it, whatever the fuck you guys want to do.
We'll throw you a bone with this one.
It's all about the group project mentality. When you're in school, right, there is the group project. Everybody was in a group project. You all had to do quote unquote equal share to make this group project get everybody a good grade, right? You're in charge of this, you're in charge of that. You guys either decide amongst yourselves or your professor or teacher decides what you guys are going to do. Everybody comes together. Now, if you look at a movie as a group project, I think in this group project, the CG and the animators, I think they carried the group project. Holy crap. Colin looked amazing. He looked, if you compare him
human.
to...
Yeah,
dude, monkey.
His eyes when he first
He had
sees
soft little,
Godzilla,
little
expression.
kissable eyes.
yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they got like Andy Serkis to mocap or something like that. But you really felt for him,
thing I thought
right? No, seriously, like he was.
He
a
did the
whole
mocap
ass
for
character.
the Peter Jackson one.
That's right.
Yeah, he's already done it, man.
And for the Planet of the Apes movies.
And for Planet of the Apes
So
movies.
I wonder if he did it here too, because like you really feel the emotion from Kong, and we got to see like an arc for him here, which is interesting. And Godzilla is always a force of nature, of course. So, but I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of Godzilla. But I think the CG crew and the production crew, they really held together this group project, because the writing team, I think the writing team was like the jocks who were like, I don't know, I'm just gonna come in and show up. You guys can do the group project, right? You guys are good, right? You guys are good. I'm gonna go have a beer. You guys are good, because you have to turn your brain off of this movie. Obviously, this is not a movie where you can like critically critique it, but at the same time, there's some times where it just gets too dumb. You're just like, oh, come on! I'm not I liked watching Pacific Rim because it was big, dumb, robot-y fun. But at least in that movie, if they give us exposition, it's about the kaijus. It's about stuff that we care about. It's expanded on the universe. And when there was exposition dumps in the first Pacific Rim, I didn't mind it because it was about the kaijus. It was about the robots. It was about
They
all
gave
the
you
cool
enough
stuff.
to make it make almost sense. It was fine.
Make it
Exactly.
make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also there was a good balance of people and kaiju robot action fun in that. And I think what all these movies suffer for, and I think WB is a big part of this, because how do you have different directors, different production crews, but you still have a lot of human BS, a lot of vanilla bullshit, as we call it. I found that it was still a lot of human BS, a lot of gobbledygook, a lot of like, there were times where I was bored. I was like, can we move this along, please? Let me get to the two main characters fighting. I don't need 1 hour long Transformer movie where they're transforming and exploding, and you got like Michael Bay explosions and stuff like that. But I mean, at least in Pacific Rim, like they gave you like a good enough like story and a good enough expression of characters, like by showing you the actual robots and showing you the kaijus. Here the humans are just like blah 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 blah. This evil organization, here's Millie Bobby Brown and this really annoying kid from Deadpool.
Do you remember these characters from the last movie?
Yeah.
They're bad. And it's just like And they totally hollowly just like put Millie Bobby Brown because she was hot at the time, it's just like she's doing the Stranger Things thing, so she's like the girl, right? Like put her in all the stuff, make it sort of 80s, and you're good because she's hot and everything, all right? You can get her, all right? She's a ticket. Like get 80s lighting, get 80s music. There's even a part where her little friend came to pick her up. It's like, hey, it's like my family's van or whatever the hell. Let's go check out, blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh, I'm going to steal this van. Some stuff going on with King Kong. Let's go. And they started playing like 80s like synthy music. I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. Millie Bobby Brown's on screen. I got you.
Very committed to their gimmick. You got to give them credit.
Really, yeah. And when they kept cutting to that the eccentric podcasting like nerdy dude, I'm like, what is this? What is this? Come on. So this eccentric podcasty type of dude is just like, kind of like a very like low tier like Alex Jones, except that he's talking about like the monsters and Monarch and Apex, the evil corporation, like 101, like Costco, aisle 6, pick up evil corporation, put it in your movie type box. You know what I mean? It's like, we need an evil corporation. I don't know, Apex, and let's make like a fake commercial video where they're just like, we are evil corp, whatever. We do a bunch of robotics and nanosystems and engineering for your world. I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. Yeah. But what I really did like was I like that there was an aspect of this movie where it seemed like they're making it into a ride, which I kind of dug.
With
there's
ships,
a lot of moments where it's just like
ships.
Godzilla vs. King Kong. Yep. We have these immensely far on futuristic cyberpunk Blade Runner like ships and technology. And they're using it to go inside of the Earth, to break through these dimensional portals. They're using it to get really close to Kong and Godzilla during the fight, which I thought they had some real... Again, if this is a group project, the CG and production team are in there.
Right.
When they're swooping around the skyscrapers, like going right under Kong's
Oh my
chin,
God.
I'm
I'm
like,
like, this is
am I at
so
Universal
sick.
Studios? Like, what happened?
Yeah, yeah. I was like, is this a gigantic advertisement for a ride that's coming up? Visit
Probably.
Universal Studios Japan, Universal Studios Orlando, Florida, and California for the Godzilla vs King Kong ride, and then you just cut to that part where they're flying like in between like Kong and narrowly missing Godzilla, like going like through their mouths and everything. I'm like, what is this? It's a commercial for the ride. I love it.
So it sounds
Order your
like
tickets now.
So like there's a reason that like Transformers 4 Extinction like didn't work at all. Like obviously there were issues with some of the other ones, but like that one was blaringly having issues versus again like Pacific Rim. Like so like Transformers 4, it felt like the again the CG team made these amazing like robot fights, and then after they like created that, they decided to go in afterwards and add the story of Mark Wahlberg talking between the fights, and they had to try to justify it to make it make sense. Versus Pacific Rim, it was, we're going to give you a bunch of exposition and we're going to get that out of the way so we can just have friggin' massive things fighting other massive things, and that works. And so you really have to have that balance to know. And I think, you know, like King of Monsters also suffered from a similar thing where it was like, we feel like we're gonna like, they made the what's going on the ground just as, if not more important than the things fighting other things.
I dislike that so very much. There's a shot in
no.
King of Monsters where Godzilla and King Ghidorah first meet each other, and the roaring and stuff, and then they cut back down to the humans on the ground that are right there. They would die, and then they pan back up to Ghidorah. Lightning strikes is going on, and then they start charging at each other. They maul each other for like a few seconds, and then they pan back down to the humans that are still right there. And I'm like, what is happening?
You do get to see some of them get liquefied by Ghidorah's gravity beams, which would happen.
Yeah, but
So.
oh man, I think it's WB who's just like, listen, it's very expensive what we're doing here. We need some more human BS, so we need to weave some subplots that people don't care about. Emily Bobby Brown, with this other guy, with this other person, with that person, with this person, and then go back to the monsters. You do get a lot of good monster fights. Okay, maybe not a lot is a good word. You do get a lot of good when they show it. They actually show it, unlike Gareth Edwards, like 2014 one, where they cut from Godzilla, which was really stupid. The human parts really suffer in this. I don't know who at WB is just like, we need more of the put them more in the movie.
I
we
think
need to
it's
see
which is
subplots on the
unfortunate.
subplots. Yeah,
It's unfortunate because WB
Because
has
who
such good
cares?
IPs, right? Like they have my favorite like characters out of any of these huge conglomerates, like, and they decide to just like break shit when they when they do like a live action movie all the time.
Yeah.
You know, their animated stuff is always awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's their live action stuff that they're just like, oh, we know what you want. No, you don't.
Yeah, no, it's that the animated stuff is always on point, and just wrap up about my little thing here. It's like the CEO of Who Cares is like also stationed at WB because you have this plot device, and you see in the trailer of this little girl who talks to Kong, and that kind of does have a history in the Kong movies where you have a human, but again, it's a different time, different age, like CEO of Who Cares, right? And this little girl, she is a part of Skull Island, and like, you know, when the Titans came back up from the earth to Skull Island, like everybody was wiped except for her. So now we have this little girl who's in here, and her plot device is just to speak to Kong and like drive him to do certain things, and it's just so unnecessary because you can take out those beats and it's still the same movie.
She does a great job, though.
I mean, does she?
I think for a kid with literally no other acting experience.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty good. It's also kind of nice to see deaf representation in movies. You don't really get too much of that. I don't know. It didn't bother me. I kind of liked it. I liked that there was a human touch to Kong, which, you know, like you said, is kind of a staple.
That's the problem. See, they're making it for guys like you. It's just like, I like the human stuff. I like the human.
No. Hold on a second.
People need to relate to. They can't relate to these monsters.
Back it up.
Humans relate to humans. Let's
Wait
put
a
more in
second.
there. Bring me pictures of Spider-Man.
Hold on. With Kong, I
not my
feel like
tempo.
there needs to be a human element. With Godzilla, absolutely not.
I mean, there are human elements in the Godzilla movies.
Yes, there are,
Back
but
in the day.
I don't. There's a difference between what I feel is tradition versus what I feel is sort of an integral part of the character. I feel the only movie that I really feel like the humans are most important in Godzilla is in the one from the 50s, because it's him versus humanity. He doesn't fight another giant monster in that movie, so it makes sense that the struggle is with human beings. All the other ones he fights like a giant monster, and it's like, oh, what about Mechagodzilla? Like, he's built by humans, and it's like, well, no, the first time Mechagodzilla showed up, it was by aliens. So, like, you could still have him fight giant robots that are, made, but you don't actually have to show people. I don't know.
I don't know. What, you don't like the twins, like the Mothra twins? Like,
The
you
Mothra,
don't think they add
like
something
it's
else to?
like it's fine, but I feel like
or all the researchers who feel for Godzilla, so when the Japanese military try to go after him, they're like, no, stop. Like, where do you think the whole like let them fight thing came from? There was a whole history of like humans really feeling for Godzilla and acknowledge him as the protector.
I'm not denying that, but I'm also I'm fine with a movie like Godzilla Giant Monsters All Out Attack, which is it's him versus Baragon and King Ghidorah, but they're like they each represent like a facet of like like one's like an Earth protector, and Godzilla is housing the souls of like all the dead Japanese who died in World War II. Like that movie's fucking weird, but you don't really have to have like that connection where there's like individual humans walking around and at risk, because it's like this Godzilla.
Yeah, you just made my point for me. Thank you.
No, but King Kong.
But
it's Kong that needs it.
It's Kong that needs it. He's always been so like every
he?
version of Kong pretty much has always had him have a connection with someone. Like that is that's his thing. You think about him on top of the friggin' Empire's like state building. With the woman that he has in every iteration, this has basically happened, that he has had a connection with, and that is like his. Like that's his undoing, is people not understanding and him not understanding what this world is.
Yeah.
And so I do understand that Kong does need that human connection, because he, in these cases, they want you to be able to empathize with Kong, versus empathizing with Godzilla is less important because of what he represents is not humanity in most cases.
Right, yeah, I understand the nature of like Kong and people, and I said that earlier because like I'm a huge fan of these films. I've been watching them since I was a kid, but I think they did a good job already of giving us kind of a view of empathy with Kong with his acting, right? So whenever the little girl's like doing sign language and bullshit to him, and he's like doing it back, and they're just like, okay, so one minor thing in the movie, I mean, like fuck this movie, that's a spoiler, like Kong knows how to communicate to people, because he's a big gorilla, a big ape. He's really intelligent, and the people are surprised. They were surprised at how intelligent he is, and I'm just like he's clearly conveying emotion, at each like moment of this movie. Like when he's shackled, like when they're bringing him over, you see this in the trailer. Even when he's fighting like Godzilla, like you kind of like feel for him, and they make you feel for him a lot. And as a Godzilla fan, I'm just like, hey,
I want to see this guy get his ass kicked.
Yeah, he had his movie. Well, what is all this? His character development for Kong. What's going on here? A lot of Kong bias, But I don't know. I think they already did a good job with like conveying his emotion and conveying his actions through his quote unquote acting, and like having like people in there all the time. I don't know. And you have all these like weird subplots that were unnecessary.
You're saying he did a good job of standing. Kong, the character, stood on his own well enough that you don't think it was necessary for the human interpretation.
Yeah, I think the human interpretation, because like there's a lot of explaining to the audience in this movie. And again, I think this is like WB doing this. Like the characters will literally explain things twice or almost staring at the camera and saying something. And it's so ridiculous.
Like The Office.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's like, in the trailer, where you see like Kong on the gigantic cargo ship, and you see Godzilla like coming at him. In the movie, they kind of expand on it, obviously, but they kind of expand on it. So Kong's being transported for reasons. You watch the movie for reasons, and then there was like a large vibration in the water. Everyone's like feeling it. I think someone sees like his one of his like back scales with the water, and this girl, the little girl, puts her hand on the ship, and she does sign language, and the vibrations are getting louder and louder, and she does sign language, and this guy's like, what's she saying? And then this lady interprets it like, it's Godzilla. It's like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
But there's like a lot of that in the movie where they literally tell you things that are happening. It's like they want to tell you and show you, but also not show you and tell you. Like there's a huge part of like the Middle Earth story, which I would love for them to have expanded on, but they didn't. Instead, we got a lot more human stuff in their BS. Like,
Yeah.
we know a backstory about some guy's, like, dead wife.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we're spending time with this guy, talking about his dead wife.
Well,
And there's Kong and Godzilla in this movie. Are you kidding me? Who's writing this? The CEO of Who Cares was in
Who
charge of
asks?
this thing.
Oh man.
So I would say it's better than King of the Monsters.
oh wow, okay.
I guess that's all. That's the real take that we were looking for.
Yeah, but it's also, oh man, yeah, I would say it's better than King of the Monsters, but
Alright.
there's still a lot of human BS that like they really need to cut out.
But you
They
don't
really need to cut
understand.
it out.
King of the Monsters had Fenway Park.
Friggin' kaiju kid.
Kaiju fights in
True.
Boston.
Boston. We're nuking it up
Oh,
in
man.
Fenway.
Yeah.
Listen, Tom Brady was another Titan that they cut out of the movie. It was too expensive. Anyways,
Tom Brady.
with that, why don't we take a break and we come back? We'll talk about kaiju in gaming.
Now, fellas, we love a giant monster movie. We've seen a ton of them. We saw the most recent one. What I want to know is, how invested are you in giant monsters in your video games? And when was the first time you realized having a giant monster in a video game is a great thing? Because me, I was 7 years old. I was coming out of a keto class. Yes, a keto. And I saw a King of the Monsters arcade machine. Now, have you played this game? Do you remember this one?
I have
don't.
not.
It's that sort of diagonal style, not quite isometric, like beat 'em up style game. And there was just something so entrancing about it. Probably because I wasn't tall enough to play it at the time. Which, you know, what can you do?
Still a problem.
Wearing your white belt and sandals.
Yeah. But I don't know. I couldn't even tell you what game this year was made because I'm sure that it's way older than 1997. But it's just watching the attract mode of this game, you see giant monster fight giant monster. Every time you take a step over this tiny little Sim City, like everything blows up with smoke. And
that's cool.
it's really, really great. And you can just run around the entire city beating up your buddy next to you. And it's got all your classics, like it's got like the mazer tanks and stuff that roll in from time to time. It's got power meter. It's got super moves. Like it was just all around really neat.
Oh, this looks familiar.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it.
I think everybody
yeah.
has seen this at some point, but like they got like a knockoff, rip-off version of like every Godzilla monster that's been. It was just really cool, and I'm like, I want to see more of this. I want to, and sure enough, next year the infamous Godzilla movie with Matthew Broderick came out, which really set me on a path of like, there's got to be something better than this. There's gotta.
Oh, in
Yeah.
1998, no, that was literally the greatest thing I'd ever seen.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it had a giant monster and all of the elements that I liked from Jurassic Park: The Lost World. That one little weird section when they're in the stadium and the little Godzillas running
Yeah,
around,
the little babies.
little babies. And then you know what? Right back to the head honcho. It was great. In 1998, that was amazing. In 2021, it is terrible.
One of the few movies not validated by nostalgia. I'll tell you.
No.
No.
But yeah, it grew into a lifelong addiction to giant monster video games. Playing Rampage World Tour on Nintendo 64 was probably the peak for me. Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee, the first actual Godzilla game I ever played. And the other ones that followed, like Save the Earth and the 2014 one. But, oh man, I want to hear from you guys.
I think the first exposure that I had to like any sort of kaiju media was, Power Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Wow,
back.
good one.
Like,
Good one.
yeah, like you think of the Megazord stuff like that. You think of all of Rita, like her, Goldar,
Yeah,
right?
Goldar, yeah.
I forget.
Yeah.
Like sending like the spear down to make him large and stuff like that. Like that was the first time I was like,
Make my monster grow.
I was an idiot as a child. Where I'm like, wow, what did they do?
Yeah.
And then I think it's the classic Rampage for me. Seeing that and playing that because it was next to the Simpsons arcade game in my local arcade.
Legendary.
And that was always filled up, right? And you had to really like punch some people in the nuts to get that game. You know what I mean? To get that game freed up.
Yeah.
But the game that was available was Rampage. So I was like, okay, I'll play this. And like, we were just running up and smashing through some windows and grabbing people and grabbing their food out of their kitchen
Yeah.
and stuff. It was awesome. And then I had like a drought of like kaiju like care, let's call it kaiju care. It sounds like a daycare.
Kaiju care.
It sounds like it's like Apple Care, but with kaijus.
But yeah, it's like I don't know, like I just like nothing interested me, you know what I mean? And I think that was the time of like the 1998 Godzilla and stuff like that. So it wasn't really a fine time for it to, you know, be in the media, but it came back with Pacific Rim for sure.
Big time.
I would say mine probably is obviously, you know, again, I was of that age with the 98 Godzilla, as far as like seeing something for the first time that was like, yeah, okay, I'll get behind this. But as far as like a kaiju game, yeah, Rampage World Tour, although I played it on PlayStation. I went over, a friend of mine had it, and we just went to town smashing the crap out of buildings and turning people into chicken and eating it, and it was great.
Punching aliens,
You know,
eating radioactive waste.
I
Yes.
just remembered the actual movie that got me back into the big monster spectacular. By the way, sorry, real quick. Tom Green, when he had his second TV show on MTV, not the Tom Green show, you know, the original dumb one where he was going out in public, the one where he had a talk show.
Yep.
He had Big Monster Spectacular Friday, which was a really funny segment every Friday that he would just show like a really big animal. It wouldn't be like an actual kaiju or anything like that. I just had to bring that up.
Who's the dude in a
People might
suit?
forget. Yeah, I think so. I think
You wanna
so.
talk
It's like
about-
going to see the. I was gonna say going to see the Aquabats when every show
Yeah,
they have
yeah.
someone come out in a costume. Saw them of course in hometown of Boston, and the guy came out in a lobster costume, and then they fought him, and it was great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I used to watch
So-
a whole wrestling league called Kaiju Big Batel every morning
Oh,
before I
nice.
woke up for school, where it would just be, you know, professional wrestling, but guys in giant monster outfits.
That's awesome. I Cloverfield was actually the first thing that got me
Oh
back
yeah,
into it.
dude.
Ooh.
Right,
Very good.
like that was because that was like that first, like that. Obviously, it was shot like handheld style, right, and it was shot first person.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where it was
J.J.
just like,
Abrams.
Yeah.
yeah, and it was one of those things like you're like you kind of are taken aback by like how gigantic this monster is, and it's just tearing shit up in Manhattan. And I'm like, wow, this is awesome to watch. Like, obviously, you don't want to see that happen, but it was an awesome movie. And I think that's what got me back into it. And that's why I think I watched Pacific Rim without any sort of like friction. I was just like, yeah, let's just watch it all in.
Yeah.
Awesome, Serge. What about you? What lay us down with your big monster video game experience?
Ah, big monsters, kaijus, as they call them. I would say my first exposure was definitely Power Rangers. Jay took mine. But yeah, when I was a young warthog, yeah, but Power Rangers was life. It was everything. Like you get home from school, you know, like you watch Power Rangers, and in my playground, if you didn't watch Power Rangers, you weren't cool. You know what I mean? And there were like one or two kids who like weren't allowed to watch Power Rangers because I guess
was
because
me.
of violence.
That was
Oh, really? No
Yeah.
way.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
Yep.
Oh no, was it because of the violence?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh wow.
That
yeah.
there were no Power Rangers, no Ninja Turtles in my household.
No,
No
Ninja,
Ninja
Turtles?
No
either?
Ninja Turtles.
Come
Yeah,
on,
it
at least
was-
that's animated.
Dude, what?
Yep. Yep. But later, and you know, I was late coming to that. Eventually, my
Are you in
parents gave up.
therapy now?
You know it. That's what I'm like. I keep having these dreams where I have a helmet on and then I fight a giant.
Wait. So Ninja Turtles like same reasoning because the violence?
Yep. Yep.
Wow. Wait. So what were you allowed to watch? This is a
God,
deep
what-
dive into Chris's.
No, this
Ca-
is true. This is
Caillou.
true. Caillou.
Caillou
Oh,
did
God.
no.
Terrifying. No, a lot of like, you know, like Saturday morning cartoonsy things. I don't know. There was a show, yeah, Recess. I mean, even before
Doug.
that, like
Recess.
there was like what that show Centurions with the dudes with the
Oh,
different, with the different like robot suits.
Yeah, the
that
land,
flies
the
up.
air, the sea guy.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
SWAT cats.
Ooh, SWAT
SWAT
Cat.
SWAT
Cats
Cats have
also-
giant monsters in it.
SWAT cats did have giant
Yeah.
monsters in it. Yeah, I don't know, Darkwing Duck, like that stuff. I don't know, like you know, just not the stuff that wasn't like outright violent. Although even though thinking back of like Ninja Turtles, like all of them have weapons and none of them actually use their weapons
Yeah.
because they would be too violent. They just kick and punch people. But anyways, yeah, no, I had a sheltered, childhood, what have you. I made up for it later. I really like horror movies when people get ripped
Damn,
apart.
I
and
thought
things now.
I thought like my parents were strict, being like old school West
Oh,
Indies.
no,
but,
no,
like,
no.
man, they let me watch Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles.
Not until I was like 8. It was
Damn.
like lockdown.
See, my dad's
Wow,
from Canada,
that's
so
crazy.
anytime he saw me watching that, he was like, "Oh, what's on the news, bud?" And I was like, "Oh, there's people killing each other again." He's like, "Okay."
Okay.
He thought America.
Here's
Was,
what Texas
he thought that was,
Chainsaw Massacre.
he thought the Power Rangers was the news.
That's awesome. What
Because
incredible
it's-
news.
You would,
In this
Dad,
giant
you would not
monster
believe what's
exploded a
happening
bunch
in
of
Angel
Colorful
Grove.
warriors.
Yeah.
That's so good, dude. Yeah, but and I would say one of my big first kaiju games was something in the arcade, right? Like when I was a young warthog in the 90s, you had roller skating rinks, you had parties and stuff like that,
Yep.
and you had big old arcades. When I was
People
growing up
gathering.
in yeah, but when I was growing up in Miami, there was a big old spot, a really hot spot to have your birthday and to hang out. It was called Hot Wheels. And it was a roller skating rink, and they had a massive arcade. Any kid who was cool had your birthday there at Hot Wheels,
Wow.
right? So you go to Hot Wheels and you see all the classic games. You had the Turtles, you had the Simpsons game, and you had one of my favorites, Primal Rage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Oh, yeah.
loved Primal Rage. Big old gigantic monsters and their worshippers on the ground that you can bite and munch. And it was bloody too. It was awesome. I remember for one of my birthdays, I think at the time Mortal Kombat 3 was coming out. And my parents just like, "Oh, for your birthday, do you want that? Like, it's hot, it's still selling everywhere." But I had so much more fun playing Primal Rage because I mean, it's everything like a kid likes. It's big old dinosaurs and monsters fighting each other.
And it's
Mortal Kombat
violent.
was cool. I played 1 and 2, but like you got big dinosaurs and these huge kaijus like fighting each other. I was like, "No, I want that for my birthday." So we ran around like looking for me. Finally got a copy, and it was awesome, dude. Like I had that on my Sega Genesis, and I played it all the time. That game was fire. If you guys don't know Primal Rage, it's just big, dumb, kaiju fun. Like these animals are basically gods. They have worshippers in
Yeah.
the background. I think you can like hit them and munch them and stuff, and it kind of like depowers them a little
It's
bit.
got
but,
it's
man,
got fatalities. The best thing about that
it's
game,
got fatalities. It's got combos.
Oh.
You can cross people up. Like it's got
the
moves in
the
it.
best
Like,
the
it's-
best thing about that game for me is that the health bar is like veins, and when
Yeah,
you
a
like
big ol' heart
when
in
you
the end.
kill your opponent, their heart explodes.
Oh, God.
Like it was just like a
Dude,
it was like a totally needless thing, but they threw it in.
Bro, I remember kids like doing combos like in the arcade and like other kids like putting quarters on the machine to like get their spot next and like getting up next. I remember this one kid. I remember I had the birthday party at Hot Wheels, and like this one kid was so good, he stayed up on the arcade machine for a while.
Yeah.
And kids kept coming up to challenge him. I forgot which character he played, but he would do combos, cross people up. He was just this undefeated kid. It was always one of those kids at the arcade, and it was awesome. I was like, damn, I want this kid for my birthday. It was awesome. But yeah, loved Primal Rage. This game was so sick.
Love it.
Yeah. So what do you guys think makes like the peak giant monster game? Is it a fighting game? Is it something else? Like, does it have to have another feel to it?
There's got to be destruction.
Is it
Yeah, I was
just
gonna say the
Rampage
environment
World
needs to be
Tour?
destroyed around it.
Yeah, no, you got to be able to destroy the environment. Like it can't just be like the cool moves. It's you got to be able to throw someone through a building
Or throw a building through someone?
or throw a
Yes.
building through someone.
Yeah.
Was it the destroy all not destroy all monsters, the melee, was that one? Is that it?
Yeah.
Godzilla destroy all monsters melee? Was that the one that you could throw a building through someone and like impale them for a few seconds?
I don't know if you could impale them, but you could definitely pick up buildings and chuck them at them, and they might get.
I remember that. I feel like there was a game that you could.
You
do
could
that.
definitely
It was
clobber
for
them
the
hard enough where
monsters.
they got stunned.
Yeah.
So, but impalement, I think might be a bridge too far.
I thought there was a game that you could impale someone for a few seconds, like it would just disappear and they would be stunned. But I maybe thinking of something else.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I did play that game a fair amount too. Yeah, that's a good piece of it. I mean, is there anything else that you really need? Like, it's all about the destruction. Like,
Yeah.
you got. See, I guess this is what happens when I don't watch Power Rangers as a child. I'm like, I want to just blow up all of these buildings
wanna
in this
just-
game.
I would like to be the bad guy, not the tiny
I wanna be
person
the
in the
bad guy.
robot.
Yeah.
Who is the real monster is man. Yeah, I kind of wish that they would bring these things back other than in like a Midway Arcade Classics pack. Like
Right.
they've tried to do a sort of very weak pass at a Rampage reboot when the Rock movie was coming out.
Yeah.
Not great, but they tried. So, good on them.
There is a great level in the Ratchet and Clank. Some of those games have levels where Clank becomes like giant. He basically becomes kaiju size, and you
Yes.
just walk around the city. And those levels freaking ruled.
Yeah. There's a giant monster level in Psychonauts that's a lot like that, which I really love. When you're inside, what is it, the lungfish, and you're the giant monster terrorizing tiny little monster people in Lungfishopolis. So silly. Yeah, I feel like it's permeated a lot of things because everything's derivative, but like Beautiful Joe, there's a giant monster fight at the end. So many things, and I just want more. I feel like people need to appreciate large things that aren't just giant vampire women.
Wait, did they have in Sim City? Did they have
Giant monster attacks?
natural disaster?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not. I don't think in 2000. I think in one of the ones after that.
Okay.
But they at least had alien invasions in SimCity 2000, which is always good. Yeah, I don't know. Wonderful 101, same principle, fighting giant monsters, super good game. Yeah.
Oh man, and in the chat we're getting Mech Warrior.
Oh.
Mech Warrior is like freaking great. Giant things fighting other giant things. Mech Warrior 2 is my jam. I feel like I rented that from Blockbuster like 8 times.
God. That armored core. I mean,
Armored Core.
we could straight up
stuff.
get to robot on robot violence, but
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question, do we want to be giant like monsters or giant robots? Is a good question. I mean, I know you can get both in some cases, but what do you guys prefer?
I feel like
I would say giant monsters.
you have more of an excuse to break stuff if you're a bad guy.
That's true, but like being a first person in a giant like mech suit is super.
It's
freaking
pretty
rad.
sweet.
Although I guess you get to do Shadows of the Colossus at the when the final after you beat the final Colossus you become a Colossus and
Yeah.
that was pretty fun too.
Yeah.
I don't know, third person is great and everything, but sometimes that first person like just looking down like everyone else is in SimCity, it's great.
Yeah.
Would recommend.
All right, let's change gears a little bit in celebration of the holiday because I want to touch it however briefly we can. The greatest April Fool's pranks in video game history. Now, I'm sure that we've all been tricked by a magazine before, and I'm looking at you, Electronic Gaming Monthly. Don't think that you missed it or that I missed it in the intro to this podcast, all right? They've got some of the most notorious hits of all time. Most prominently, one I remember fondly because I tried it over and over and over again, was that you could unlock Sonic and Tails in Super Smash Bros. Melee by doing Cruel Melee and beating 20 guys. And I got so good at the game, I did it. And it was a lie. It was a ruse. And they're also obviously infamous for you must defeat Sheng Long to continue. The old Street Fighter 2, there's a secret character that you must be super extra perfect all about. I don't know. What about you guys? Did you ever fall for one of these?
I never did. The only things I like that got me were the Metal Gear Solid games, man. Like, the whole like Hideo kind of fake outs and trip outs and stuff like that. Nothing really like I don't know. Like I was always too, I guess, cynical for like the April Fool's shit, but I always got, freaked out or scared by, Metal Gear Solid 2 when like the old general starts like freaking out. Like he's like, turn your PlayStation off right now. And I was like, oh, yep, you got it. You got it, dude. Like straight up panicked. And I knew that was coming too because of the whole like Mantis thing. Like I played through that. But when he was like, I need you to turn your PlayStation off right now. And I was like, oh.
Raiden,
like,
turn the game off now.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, you got it. It's off. And I actually did turn the game off once and, ended up pushing myself back a little bit on the memory card. But
I don't get it. I keep doing it and then I have to start all over again. I don't understand.
Yep. That's it though. I didn't really get tricked out too bad, I don't think. The April Fools that keeps getting me is I keep buying Destiny. So.
That's true. That's true.
Damn.
Happens yearly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if I've been like duped by them. And the funny thing is like now we're at the point where sometimes the April Fool's thing like comes to life. Like obviously Sonic the Hedgehog is now a part of Smash Brothers, which is really funny. But I think like the most memorable one was it like 2014 or 2015 when Google Maps put Pokemon in it, and it was like This is
Oh,
kind
that's
of fun. We just scroll around, and then like 2 years later, we got Pokemon Go, and it was
They
great.
knew. They were counting on it.
Oh, way to go! One company, that one company like Niantic was like saw that and was like, "Yo,
There's a market for this?
we already got this other game that no one's playing. But what if we
We know one
reskin
person
it?
that was playing.
We don't know one person's playing. I don't even remember the name of it. Crystal Twitch. Thanks for hooking me up with that. But yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, we could just do this, and we're going to basically bring about world peace for like a solid 2 weeks, where everyone was in harmony, catching Pokemon together with Pokemon Go. Amazing. Ingress. That was the name of Niantic's other game. Oh, also, it turns out the Pikmin game that they're working on it's in beta in I think Japan right now.
Oh.
So soon. Great. Anyways,
Not a hoax, not an imaginary story.
yeah. Also, someone brought to my attention recently the Assassin's Creed for Xbox Connect trailer. Would recommend watching it. It's friggin' hilarious.
Huh.
But a lot of these things are just kind of funny, not necessarily like, oh, you got me.
Yeah.
You got me good. Love it.
All right. How about you, Sergio?
I haven't really been gotten got by one. There was one recently where
Am I the only one on this
Everyone-
show dumb enough to have been pranked by a magazine?
yes,
Yeah.
Damn it!
yeah, you are.
Maybe.
Yeah,
You
are.
know I can't read, so I can't look at a magazine.
Guess.
Yeah, there was one recently where everyone is still looking for graphics cards. So there's a buddy of mine who always like keeps us in the know about if stuff might be available. So he just like sent us a link, and we're just like, oh, it was something about like the Evergreen, the gigantic freighter that was stuck in the Suez Canal.
Oh,
There was a fake but real looking tech story that there was Nvidia cards, like the new Nvidia cards that were like, there was like millions of them or like thousands of them like on that freighter. So they're being released, and like Nvidia was gonna like sell them for like percentage off because they were slightly damaged or something like that. And I was just like, oh, wait a minute.
slightly
So,
damp video
Wait
cards.
a minute.
You know what's
Yeah.
really funny about that ship is that in Rust, right? You walk up to a vehicle, right? It tells you to push it so you can like get it unstuck. Somebody took a picture of the Evergreen that was stuck, and one of the Rust like YouTubers was just like, "Has anybody tried this yet?" And it just walked up, it just says push next to it. It's so good. But then like a day later, it was out. So
It worked.
yeah,
Good suggestion.
yeah, agreed.
Okay, all right. So maybe not a magazine, but something. You've never fallen for the kid in the schoolyard. I got an uncle that works at Nintendo. I got an in on Pika Blue.
No, that was me.
You were that kid?
I was. A kid.
he was
like-
the
Why am I doing a
Naturally, dude.
podcast
Like,
with
why
a
are
bunch
you
of
surprised?
schoolyard bullies? You're driving me crazy.
Oh man, I didn't have, not for video games, but I did have some kid tell me about a few movies that I thought couldn't possibly come out. Free Willy 2 and Jurassic Park 2. Both of which clearly his dad or something or someone he knew like worked in the industry, because he was like, dude, there's gonna be a Free Willy 2 where there's an oil spill. It's like, yeah, bull. It's like, yeah, and there's Jurassic Park 2 where they go back to the island to bring a T-Rex.
And there's
Yeah.
an oil spill.
And I was like, that's not true. And then like within 2 years, both of those movies came out, and I was like, oh shit.
He was right all
But I couldn't
along.
give him props. I'd already moved away, so I was like, oh well, good on you, buddy.
Yeah.
You will never.
He'll have to live with the knowledge that he imparted onto others. That
That's
he
true.
he leaked a movie before it ever happened.
cursed with
He's
knowledge.
probably
I thought he was. Just
he
being
probably
strict.
has like a career at like Variety or something now. Just spoiling everything for everyone.
just in the second
Wow,
second
Case,
grade,
where
just
did
digging
that
up these
come
leaks.
from?
I
Where did that
I may have a similar story about a person who may have also had an industry insider family. Listen, I had a rough time growing up being spoiled for things and being easily duped, and I'm not proud. I'm not proud.
Casey, I'm going to send you so many emails.
There's so many Nigerian
I love how there
princes.
are all these like. I love how there are all these like children just getting jobs because like their parents are working in the industry like Megan McCain.
Yeah,
Just like just McCaining their way into like Variety and like the movie industry.
it's one big
Listen.
Wrong
rift.
view.
I would do the same thing. Let's be
Oh,
honest.
100%. Oh, 100%. But unlike Megan McCain, you would actually have talent.
Nice. She's got a talent for a
depends what
bad
industry I try
hairstyle.
to get into. Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow, this got
Yeah,
dark.
real dark.
This got real dark. Video games.
Video games. I don't know. I mean, listen, I got wrapped up in dumb crap when I was a kid. I was like the Tomb Raider nude code, the code for turning on the violence, and the Super Nintendo version of Mortal Kombat. Like I was roped into all of it, man. Like everything I read, I'm like, wow, this has got to be real because I read it in a magazine. You know,
I read it in a
It's gotta be real. Magazine. You know,
they wouldn't lie in print.
yeah, that's libel. Like, come on, they couldn't do that. But you know, I don't know. I think part of me wanted to believe it was true that, you know, you could see really like totally sweet polygonal boobs in 1997. That really gets your jimmies rustled when you're a youth, and in terms of the playground gossip. I don't know, man. It was weird. It was a weird time to be alive. You know, everybody's like, yeah, I want the infinite life code, but it's like, I heard a rumor in a magazine about girls. I don't know. All right. It's great. It's very disconcerting silence. Can we cut this, please? It'll be on the live version forever, but you know, we could cut it. Well, yeah, it's great.
All right, so I guess
this is staying in.
So now we got to bring it home. Have you ever tricked somebody else? I'm going to start with this one because I did convince one of my managers when I worked retail that it was my last day because I was interviewing for a job at another store and she was on vacation for like a week and a half and came back, and I convinced her that that was going to be my last day. And it was wonderful.
I remember you telling me.
And I actually still have a video of this. Of there was supposed to be a big, you know, when you're leaving for the last time, there's supposed to be like a big to do, but everyone just like went about their business and ignored her, trying to get everyone to like, you know, clap out. And it was super uncomfortable. And then a buddy walked behind me, playing the friggin' Rickroll, "Never Gonna Give You Up" song, and it was great. And I showed her a text that I had sent immediately after I had talked to her, to one of my coworkers saying, "Hey, can we convince our manager that today is my last day?" And he was like, "I'm on it." And we got everyone in on it. It was great. The greatest thing I've ever done to this day.
Wow.
Let's hear it. What else you guys got?
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could beat that. I mean, I somehow managed to finagle my way through college with at least 8 dead grandparents.
Oh, God.
I mean, that's kind of a mortifying.
This episode is so dark.
Yeah, it got real dark real fast. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm constantly like looking for new ways to grift, and the only way, you know, that prevents me from being, I assume, a criminal, is that my girlfriend generally keeps me in line, because all of my cons are your classic 2-man con, and she refuses to be my second man in the con. Like, I know a place where for charity, you can ride horses. Like, they let you ride horses. The only thing is that you have to have like a disability. And my girlfriend loves horses, so I'm like, okay, this will be a great date. Like, we could find a way to sneak our way in and, you know, ride horses for the day. It would be great. And she's like, okay, let me just walk it back here. For my birthday, you want to pretend to be disabled so we can ride horses and thus prevent other people from riding those horses that same day. And I'm like, you know, when you put it like that, it really makes me sound like a horrible human being. And yeah, that was not my finest hour. But also, to my credit, I didn't really think about it at all. So
the joke was on
yeah,
you
the
on
joke
that
was
one.
on me. There was absolutely zero planning. And honestly, I'm kind of grateful that it didn't work out.
Yeah. So my old man is like one of the greatest April foolish people that I've ever known. And he used to get me every year by saying, "Hey, bud, get up. There's a gigantic snowstorm. You don't have to go to school." I'd jump off. I'd be super excited. And then I'd look outside and it's like, you know, it's spring. And he's like, "Go get ready. You got to go to school." So he'd always get me with that. But I inherited that ability from him, and now I'm a troll on the internet, not like a nasty one, but through this podcast by referring to Full Metal Alchemist all the time.
The worst anime of all
but
time.
you're done. I'm gonna throw a tree through you. So
That's fine.
a couple years ago, my nephew watched a documentary where there was kids in Japan who were finishing up their day in school, and they started cleaning the classroom. And this is a real thing. This is a real thing in almost every country except for the United States, where the children are taught to do chores and clean up and respect the environment that you work in. And it's actually a really good thing. My nephew, who was probably like 8 or 9 at the time, maybe younger, who was like just getting into like loving to play Xbox, like as soon as he got home, he was like, he saw that and he goes, "That's awful. That's horrible. Like, why would you ever like make kids clean up?" You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't get it because he's an American and his mom did everything for him. So I partnered with my sister and I was like, listen, we have to tell him that like the public schools out here saw that documentary as well, and they're also going to adopt this practice, and all kids starting tomorrow are going to start cleaning up after school. I have it on video. I'll end up like stitching it together and putting it out there at one point, but I convinced him for a while that it was happening, and he's like, "Well, how long is it going to be?" I'm like, "It's only going to be like 4 or 5 hours of cleaning, bud. It's not going to be long." And he just starts like just getting like, oh, like you could hear his voice start cracking and stuff like that.
Oh no.
He sits down on the steps where I was telling him, and he like puts his like hands on his chest, and he's like on his chin rather, and he's like, "I don't know what I'm gonna do." He's like, when am I gonna have time to play? And I was like, "What, play Xbox?" And I called him out on it. He goes, "Oh, play and hang out with my mom." And I was like, "All right, bud." I was like, I don't know, ask her. And he yells down to her. She confirms that this is happening. And then he looks back at me, he looks back at her, and he's like, "You guys are kidding, right?" And I'm like cracking at this point. Like I couldn't hold it in any longer. I had him going for a solid like 4 minutes. And he just immediately runs away and just starts crying. And like I caught him on video crying. He was pissed at me. He didn't talk to me for like a week. It was well worth the child tears.
Good God.
The child tears.
Dark.
So
Yeah.
mean. Real quick, I gotta tell you, the best prank that's ever been pulled on me was my mom as a child, because she had poured me a glass of orange juice, and it was the end of the orange juice. And so I may have told the story before. And when she was like going to go rinse it out before putting it in recycling, I was curious. It's like, "Mom, is that bottle glass or is it plastic?" My mom, knowing the answer but decided she was going to teach me a real world lesson, goes, "Well, let's find out." And then she spiked it at the ground. Me, thinking it might have been glass, friggin' jumped out of my chair. And I swear to God, now that's the real reason I'm in therapy,
That's
by the
awesome.
way, is because my mom did that to me. But to this day, it's the funniest friggin' thing anyone has ever done to me. And I was like, good on you, Mom.
Where we found out that Chris has the best stories.
Yeah, no kidding.
Apparently.
Yeah. Well, here's hoping that you and home haven't had the old prank of any of that you've heard above. With that, we're going to wrap it up here at Button Smash. And as always, thank you for watching. You know where you can catch us, pretty much wherever podcasts are sold. We're here Thursday nights, roughly 9 p.m. You know where to find us, twitch.tv/WeAreRogueMatter. Thank you for coming, everyone. And we'll see you next time, or we'll see you another time.